Texans voice support. Condemn unprecedented attacks in Israel, Texas. CBS News Texas. Like the rest of the world, Texas isn't immune to the impact of Saturday's declaration of war by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the Hamas militant group attacked Israel over the weekend. Time equals 400 ms, greater than with more than 700 Israelis, most of them civilians, least 9 U.S. citizens and Europeans killed since Hamas attacked on October 7. Some Texans are but 1 degree of separation away from the conflict. Less than 1 degree of separation. Dallas pastor Reverend Dr. George Mason is in Israel. He traveled to the region days before the conflict began. Mason said he's now trapped in Israel, trying to find passage home after waking up to the sound of sirens Saturday morning. We started hearing loud booms, rockets that were probably being intercepted by the Iron Dome, Mason said. Sirens would go off and we would need to move to shelter rooms here in the hotel. Dallas-based organization, Texas Baptist Men wasted no time heading to Israel, but unlike Mason, they traveled after the conflict began. It has deployed a group of 20 volunteers made up of men and women from across Texas. Their mission is to help feed both Israelis and Palestinians caught up in the conflict. Our people really just want to love other people and show that in a tangible way, said John Travis Smith, Associate Executive Director of Texas Baptist Men. The Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights Museum also condemned the violence carried out by Hamas against innocent civilians, including reported Holocaust survivors, women and children. They shared the following in part via social media. We stand in solidarity with the people of Israel during this challenging time and express our heartfelt condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones, and we pray for those who have been taken hostage in these senseless acts. Hamas is a self-avowed Islamic terrorist organization that has the primary goal of annihilating the Jewish nation-state of Israel, and we strongly affirm Israel's right to defend itself against this heinous threat. From volunteers to those with first-hand experience with violent extremists, Texans are rallying in support of those touched by the war in Israel. Others, like Jeffrey Cohen, who survived the January 2022 standoff between a gunman and FBI at a synagogue northeast of Fort Worth, told CBS News Texas he's awaiting word from relatives in Israel. Cohen, who was one of 4 people held hostage during the attack on the Congregation Beth Israel Synagogue in Colleyville last year. He has longtime friends who live in Israel, and several who live in areas hit in Saturday's attacks. Cohen said he fears what will happen to those taken captive by Hamas. For me, one of the hardest things was, January 15, 2022, Cohen said. I was a hostage right here and spent 10 or 11 hours, depending on how you look at it, with an armed gunman who claimed he had a bomb, threatening us the whole time, and hearing that so many families, so many people have been taken hostage, have been taken from their homes. On Monday morning, Texas Governor Greg Abbott strongly condemned Hamas' coordinated, multi-fronted attack from the Gaza Strip against Israel. He vowed comprehensive public safety measures for Israeli and Jewish locations across Texas, promising more than $4 million of additional funding from the governor's public safety office, PASEO, to provide enhanced security for synagogues and schools. The state of Texas condemns these heinous acts of violence and inhumanity against Israel and its people by ruthless terrorists, and we stand ready to offer our complete support to the Israeli and Jewish communities, said Abbott in a news release. I firmly denounce the act of war against Israeli citizens and Americans in Israel and support Israel's right to defend itself from these barbaric attacks. Working with local partners across Texas, we are actively increasing security at Jewish and Israel-related locations such as synagogues and schools. In response to these cowardly attacks, we stand united with our Jewish neighbors and we repudiate terrorism and anti-Semitism. The governor also directed the Texas Department of Public Safety to work with local partners and federal intelligence agencies on heightened public safety measures, with an intensified focus by the Joint Terrorism Task Force and Texas Fusion Center to elevate awareness about potential threats by Hamas or Hezbollah organizations against the Jewish community in Texas. Abbott also issued an executive order directing all Texas state agencies to refrain from buying goods produced in or exported from the Gaza Strip and from any organization or state actor with ties to Hamas. The governor's statement followed a long thread shared by Texas politicians following the unprecedented attack. Senator Ted Cruz shared the following via X. Iran-controlled Hamas terrorists launched a literal war against Israel tonight. Our Israeli allies will now do what they must to defend themselves, and I stand with them as they confront this violence and these atrocities. The United States must continue to support Israel's absolute right to self-defense and ensure it has the military resources and diplomatic support it needs to confront the genocidal Iran-controlled terrorists who seek Israel's destruction. U.S. Representative Kay Granger also shared a statement, saying, "I am horrified by the images coming out of Israel this morning. I strongly condemn these attacks, and stand with our valued ally, Israel." Almost 600 people were killed by Israel's retaliatory airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, the enclave's health ministry confirmed. Back home in Texas, Cohen said he's hoping for peace. "I'm hoping that they can come up with a peaceful solution," said Cohen. "People need to learn that they have to live together."